welcome to Not Deli Meats Part 2, the beef edition. If you haven't watched the turkey video yet, maybe go back and watch that because I talk through why I use some of the ingredients more than I will do in this one. To start with, it's 100 grams of vital wheat gluten, 100 grams of pea protein, 1 tablespoon of glutinous rice flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of Agar powder, 1 tablespoon of mushroom powder, 2 tablespoons of beef flavour stock. I use Muslin. I've used a few different ones so far. At the moment I'm loving this one the best. Maybe drop me a comment and let me know which ones you use. Vegan please, obviously. This is finely grated 100% cacao. That's what they make chocolate with. But it doesn't have any fats or sugars, any cocoa butter, nothing like that. It's just pure cacao. So you could also use cocoa powder. 1 tablespoon of finely grated cacao. A heaped 1/4 teaspoon of instant coffee powder. This is to ramp up those brown flavours. Anything that has a really dark colour will work quite well in this because it has that nice umami, rich sort of flavours. That's all of my dry ingredients, well, my powdery ingredients. If you were here for the turkey video, I've still got the apple butter in the oven. So this is how it's looking after, I think it's had an hour and 20 minutes. Just have a look through my videos if you want the recipe for the apple butter. Dead easy and dead delicious. Okay, now I'm just going to use a fork to combine everything. This is 100 grams of quinoa and amaranth. I'm just breaking in 50 grams of oat pulp. So it's just the leftovers from making oat milk. I'm just not a fan of wastage, so I thought try putting them in a meat, see what happens. And then kind of squeeze it. You're trying to get it to almost a breadcrumb consistency. Going in with 100 grams of tofu. I would have preferred more of the silken tofu, but that's all I had. I'm adding a teaspoon of brown miso to this one. In the turkey I used white, just because it has a milder flavour. I really want a nice, good, strong, deep flavour in the beef. 1 teaspoon of tequila. This seems to give a nice, meaty kind of, it's almost like game. That's the kind of flavour it brings to it, whatever it is that makes game gamey. 20 grams of sunflower oil. Again, you really can use any flavourless oil. In this batch, I'm trying 3 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I'm using about 3/4 of a teaspoon of Marmite. Love it or hate it, I love it. The final wet ingredient is 250 mils. This looks very different. 250 mils of boiling water. Whisk the liquids up to combine and then start working. I did think when I was doing the dry ingredients something looked different. Maybe I nudged the scale on the first batch. I think what I'm going to do is put it in a bowl and let it soak for a few minutes and see if that helps. Yeah, actually it doesn't look too bad at all. That's, I think, partly the agar that's starting to react to the hot water and the gluten is developing. Possibly crisis averted. I almost put 300 mils in this version. Glad I didn't. I'll leave this for a couple of minutes. The mixture's still very soft. I'll add vital wheat gluten, tablespoons at a time. You can see this is much more elastic. It's more elastic rather than just a glue or a goop. Back into a bowl with the top on and let that rest for 10-15 minutes. It was at this point that some building work started up outside, so I'm going with a close-up and voiceover. Yay, workarounds! The blender packed in halfway through kneading the first batch, so I kneaded the dough by hand, working the 2 parts together and stretching for 15 minutes. Just keep in mind that the longer you knead it, the chewier it will be. The beef's been resting for about 6 hours. Very soft. Don't know how I feel about that, but it's kind of stretchy. It's not too concerning at this point. I want to maximise the flavour going on here. I've got some Worcester sauce. I'm going to drizzle that. It's not Worcester sauce at all, sorry. It's Henderson's relish. It tastes like Worcester sauce, but it's not because Worcester sauce has anchovies in it. Gravy granules. And I don't yet know if there's anything you could switch for this. Maybe more stock on top. I'll grate a little bit of the chocolate on top. Mustard and roast beef it's an iconic combination. Perhaps the kick of the mustard will help trigger a memory of eating roast beef and mustard. A couple of sprays of oil, turn it over, and then the gravy. I roll it to here, leaving a good 6-8 inches, and then as you would with a Christmas, I have another piece. Oh my God! Gather it and twist it, roll it in another piece, mash it down, and sort of fold it, and tuck it in on itself and get this bit more into the middle. And then I'm going to wrap it in a piece of muslin just to anchor the paper down. Find the flap and tuck it inside. I'll now put that into the Instant Pot for 2 hours. For the beef glaze, I'm going to start with 60 ml of boiled water, 1/4 teaspoon of soy sauce, 1/4 teaspoon of MSG. I want around 1/2 tablespoon of malt extract, treacle or molasses, 1 heaped teaspoon. I need our old friend, the cacao, 1/2 teaspoon. And then the last one is tamarind. This is a very tangy, intense kind of flavour. And when I was thinking through ingredients to put in here, thinking of the flavours, for some reason this leapt into my mind. And I didn't know why, but I went with it, took it out the fridge, and it's dawned on me it has that bloody taste to it, that real tanginess almost, as it first hits your tongue, that a good steak does if it's been done on a grill. 1/4 teaspoon. And remember, this is a very thin glaze that we're going to put on top, so you're not, flavour isn't going to be super intense or anything. The last ingredient is a slurry of cold water and potato starch. I'll put in 1 spoonful, move it around, and you'll see it instantly starts thickening up. And then when it comes to use it, I'll add a little bit of boiling water just to get it flowing again. Top tip for handling hot meat: get a glove on it. Lots of gravy on the outside. What I'm about to do feels wrong, but I really want the glaze to have the most chance of sticking, so I'm going to take some of this off. Start applying it quite liberally, getting in all of the little nooks and crannies. And now I have to wait. It's the following day. I ended up drying out the not beef for about 45 minutes in the end at 80 degrees C. Look at that! I nonned on it. But it's got a really kind of bouncy, tight structure to it. And it really does remind me of like a joint of beef. But obviously the most important factor is how does it taste? So you can see, as I pull on it, it has a grain to it. The gluten flavour is still there. I need to up the flavourings that I put in it, put more, but the glaze especially. Oh my God, the glaze is really good. The glaze would even work for proper meat, like actual meat. It would work really well. For more ideas on how to satisfy that meaty urge that you've got, hit subscribe, click the bell notification, and I'll get my meat straight into your inbox whenever I can do it.